If you guys need any FIFA 22 coins, make sure you check out igvault.com. Their link is down in the description. They're fast, cheap and reliable, and if you use code REMA you can get yourself a nice 6% extra discount. So what's going on, guys? My name's Ash and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. In today's video, guys, we're going to be taking a look at shooting within FIFA 22, something I've seen a lot of opinions about on Twitter. Now, so much of what I read is that it's impossible to score on FIFA 22. Goalkeepers are too overpowered and a lot of people are just confused about how they're actually meant to score goals because they're finding it very difficult. And I'd be a dishonest person if I said I found it very easy to score goals or I know exactly the best way to score goals in FIFA 22, because I don't, but all I can tell you guys is the way that I've found to be the most effective to score. Now, in my last video where I gave out my 4-2-3-1 custom tactics, I said this game felt a lot like FIFA 19 in many ways. And the main reason I think this is because shooting and goalkeepers feel the same. In FIFA 19, shooting inside the box was not a reliable way to score, and you were never quite sure whether the goalkeeper was gonna, let it go in or make some incredible save. And the only consistent way to score in FIFA 19 was long-range finesse shots. They'd pretty much go in every time. And this is something that I feel is similar with FIFA 22, at least at the early stages. When you shoot inside the box, it doesn't seem to go in. It doesn't always seem to be the most accurate, and keepers are more prone to saving the shots. Whereas if you take a long-range finesse shot from outside the box, keepers don't really stand a chance and the shots seem to be pinpoint accurate. So what I'm going to be doing now is showing you guys how you can score these long-range finesse shots on the regular and what you need in order to do that. I'm also going to show you some examples of me doing the same thing. The first thing I suggest you guys do in order to score these finesse shots is turn on timed finishing. At this point, I'm sure many of you know what timed finishing is. It's been in the game for a few years now, but in this game I feel like it is necessary in order to consistently score these finesse shots. By being able to green time these shots, it gives you an advantage over your opponent because the odds of you scoring are much higher. Green timing your shots gives you more power and accuracy, meaning your chances of scoring are higher than if you did not time your shot. So yeah, make sure you have timed finishing on. The next thing I suggest you guys do is pick a suitable formation for these finesse shots. The formation that I find to be the most useful for these finesse shots is the 4-2-3-1 narrow, and like I've said earlier in the video, I posted my custom tactics and player instructions for that formation. So why is the 4-2-3-1 narrow good for these finesse shots? Well, when you're performing these finesse shots, you need it to be central in the pitch. You don't want your players to be too far out wide because there is a certain angle and area that this works best in. Basically, the area in which this is most effective is quite simple. If you take the penalty box and you look at the width of the penalty box, anything in that area is the most effective place in which to shoot. Basically, if you're too far out wide, it can be very difficult to get the bend that is required on the ball, and the keeper's positioning is too good for the shot to go in. That's what I think anyway. So basically you need a narrow formation because it means most of your players are going to be in a central area, giving you more options in that area and having more players that are able to shoot. If you use a wide formation such as the 4-3-3, most of your players are going to be out wide, so there's not going to be anybody in the center really, so you're not going to be able to perform these shots because, like I said, they're not very effective from out wide. So make sure you have timed finishing on and make sure you're using a narrow formation. You still with me? Good. So for the next bit, I'm going to show you a couple of examples of me scoring some long-range finesse shots, because I think it's important that you guys visualize how to do this because it can be difficult otherwise. So I'm going to pause the video just as I'm about to take the shot because I want you to see the positioning of the player who shoots. So if you take a look at the positioning of Morata, who is about to take the shot, you'll see that he is not head on with the goal, he's at an angle. This is an angle of about 45 degrees, so half a right angle. This is ideal because it gives you the angle you need to take the ball around the goalkeeper. If you head on with him, it's too difficult to get that whip. You won't be able to put it in the corner. Similarly, if the angle is too great so you're not even facing the goalkeeper, it'll be too difficult to get the power and direction you need on the shot because it's physically impossible. So the angle of about 45 degrees gives you the perfect power and placement you need to score these shots. And as you can see here, the shot goes straight past the goalkeeper and straight into the goal. And here's the goal in real time so you can see how I set it up and how I actually scored it. When it comes to scoring these long-range finesse shots, it's also important that you guys use players with high shooting stats. Now, I'm not saying you guys need prime moments Ronaldo in order to score these finesse shots, but you do need somebody that actually has a decent shooting stat. For example, of course, Romelu Lukaku is going to be better at these finesse shots than Marcel Desailly. So although you don't need the most insane players to score these shots, like you saw me just score one with Morata, you do need someone that can actually shoot the ball. It also helps even more if the player that you're shooting with has the finesse shot trait, because that is pretty self-explanatory. If they have the finesse shot trait, their finesse shots are going to be better. I wouldn't say it's completely necessary to have the finesse shot trait or to have insanely high shooting stats, but use your mind, of course it helps. Unfortunately, FIFA is a pay-to-win game, so of course the really expensive players that probably cost a lot of real money in order to obtain are going to be much better at pretty much everything in this game. But believe me guys, it's still very consistent regardless of whether or not you have these insane players. Another thing I'd suggest doing, guys, is using about 3 bars of power when you are performing these finesse shots. The reason I haven't stressed about power that much is because I don't think it's too important, but as long as you've got quite a decent amount of power on the ball, it's okay. You don't want to have like 2 bars though, otherwise I don't think it's going to get the height it needs. It's also quite contextual, of course, because if you're like right on the edge of the box, you might get away with 2.5 bars of power. You might find that's perfect, but if you're a bit further out, you know, about 25-30 yards, you don't want to use low power, otherwise it won't reach the goal. So the further out you go, the higher you want your power to be. Another thing is, guys, you don't want to be too far out when you're performing these shots. If you're anywhere over 30 yards away from the goal, I don't think it's going to work that well. Purely because it's such a distance that the keeper will just be able to move over the goal and catch the ball. And obviously, since finesse shots aren't the quickest of shots, this doesn't help either. You also want to make sure you have a clear sight of the goal, because obviously if there's a player in front of you, the shot will be blocked. That's just how this game is. So the setup is just as important as performing the shot. So before you work on perfecting these finesse shots, make sure you're able to actually get in and around the areas where you can perform them without getting tackled, or being in a position where the shot will be blocked, of course. Lastly, I'd just like to say no shooting method in FIFA is 100%. This shot is not guaranteed to go in. Just because it doesn't score every time, it doesn't mean it's not good. No shot in FIFA will go in 100% of the time. But obviously the tips and tricks I've given you in order to perform these finesse shots will help you improve your odds when it comes to scoring them. So I suggest to the guys that are trying to learn this just to keep at it. It does get a lot easier and it just becomes an instinct. Now that I've told you all you need to know in order to implement these finesse shots into your game, let's take a look at some examples from games I've played. So as you can see, I brought the ball into the center of the pitch, and when I got the ball with Rebic, I was going to shoot there, but you saw that I had to turn because the shot was going to be blocked otherwise. And because we made that turn, we had a clear shot on goal, we made the angle, and the finesse shot went in no problem. You can also see that my opponent was not amused and quit the game. So for the second example, you can see again we bring the ball into the center of the pitch, pass the ball to Morata, create the angle and take the shot yet again, and it flies in no problem. This time it was on Morata's right foot. So that's basically everything, but let's recap in case you guys have forgotten the key points. You want to turn on timed finishing, as if you green time the finesse shots, you will generate more power and accuracy on them, giving you a higher chance of scoring them. You also want to use a narrow formation such as the 4-2-3-1, as it allows you to have more players in the center of the pitch, making it easier to shoot from the angles that we talked about. You also want to use about 3 bars of power when it comes to the finesse shots, as that is just the right amount to generate the height and power and whip that you need to hit it into the top corner. It's best to use players with high shooting stats and or with the finesse shot trait, as that will massively improve your chances of scoring the shot too. You also want to make sure that you're at an angle of about 45 degrees, as this is the best angle in order to guarantee the best shot possible. And lastly, you don't want your player to be too far out when attempting this shot, as the keeper will catch it, making you look like an idiot. But yeah, that's basically everything for the video, guys. If you have enjoyed it, I would massively appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, as that really does help me out. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on any tips and tricks videos like this one. I also have my own little Road to Glory series that I've started this year, so if you guys are interested in that, make sure you stick around. And obviously don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted, otherwise YouTube is really dodgy and doesn't always tell you when a video's gone live. And lastly, I'd just like to ask you guys what kind of content you'd like to see from me during FIFA 22, because I know you guys have a lot of different opinions of what you think is good content, so I'm happy to hear your guys' suggestions and maybe implement some of your ideas into future videos. But yeah, that's basically everything, guys. I've really enjoyed making this video. In fact, I've actually been enjoying making lots of videos recently. It's given my day a bit of a purpose and a schedule, so you know, I hope you guys are enjoying the content, because I certainly have been enjoying creating it. And yeah, let's keep it going, guys. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next video tomorrow. Peace.